Hello, I'm Dr. Mikey Newborn, and this is Leadership Development. Today we're looking at the topic, Learn from Experience. We probably have heard this many times in our life. Experience is oftentimes the greatest teacher. And I find that to be very true. You probably do as well. Of course, there are many types of ways to learn in this life. We can definitely enroll in a class, such as you're in right now, and learn from someone else who maybe has more experience or more knowledge in an area, and that knowledge is being passed down to you. But also, some of us just need to learn by experiencing things or going through it. And it's very helpful for us to do it. I'm one of those people that has to experience something to really get it. I have to go through it. So if I start something and I make a mistake, I understand that mistakes are common and it's kind of what's needed to learn and to go to the next level. And so I'm willing to accept some of those mistakes, but I've got to get that experience to know what it's like. And you might be the same way in that. But all of us learn from experience in different ways. Maybe it's something that we have seen. Maybe it's something that we've endured. Maybe it's something that we were tasked with and we had to accomplish something together. You see this oftentimes in sports. You see this oftentimes maybe in the military. You see it in the performing arts. People have to go through the motions in order to understand what's really taking place. And so we're going to talk about some of those things today in this lesson. It's good to be with you. Let's begin our study. Hello and welcome to Leadership Development. Today we're looking at the topic, Learn from Experience. It's good to be with you. Let's begin our study. I want to start by reading a quote by John Dewey. We do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. I think that's a great way to start this lesson because it's one thing to go through something, but we have to reflect on it to learn from it. So if we don't learn from the past and to not do certain mistakes, we're likely to repeat those mistakes because we haven't learned from them. And so that's what he's pointing at there. We also have seen this or heard this in our lives. Some say experience is the best teacher. And we could agree with that in many ways because a lot of things that we do in this life, a lot of the education that we have received is just by doing something. If you think about sports or if you think about playing an instrument, you think about something that takes time and effort, maybe a performance or some kind of a job or a task that you have to perform. The way that you're going to get better at that is if you put the time in and your body gets used to it. You get used to seeing certain things and it helps you to perform better or to do your task better. And so it's important to understand that experience is a great teacher for us. Now, when we think about learning from experience, we want to also look at promote psychological hardiness in all of this. So we want to create a mental type of strength that will help us as we're learning from experiences. So when we think about this in a certain type of job, maybe it's a high-stress job, whatever it might be, high-stress jobs do not have to cause illness. Some people thrive during high-stress situations while others face a plethora of health concerns. There's a difference and it's based on two things how people respond to that. Number one, approaching stress positively, and number two, develop fortitude and grit. And what we're talking about in this setting is the idea of learning from mistakes, learning from the past, learning from experience, and through that, getting ready to face something that might even be a difficult task to accomplish. And so how do you accomplish or how do you have a bright future going forward? Well, when you learn from the past and you do it in the right way, it can help you push forward for the future. And so I want to look at first, develop a sense of control. How do you develop a sense of control in your life in a positive way? Well, day planners will help you do that. or calendars. Day planners and calendars are very effective because they get you lined up in what you're going to do for the next day or maybe the next week or the next month. And that way things aren't a surprise to you. You're not double booking something. It takes the stress away. You already have the plan for the week. You know what's coming. Keep an organized workspace. Now, this is a wonderful thing for all of us to consider because our workspace is where we spend so much of our time. Now, you might travel, and that might be your workspace, might be in your car or your truck, or it might be in a certain location. It might be an office that you have. It might even be in your home. But one of the best things that you can do is keep it organized because then you can find what you need and you can jump in and do those tasks very quickly. But if you can't find what you need, you're going to spend a lot of time or waste a lot of time trying to find those things. One of the greatest leadership challenges I ever received is when I was 15 or 16 years old, and the teacher, the speaker that was speaking at this event said, "Now, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is go home and clean your room." And everybody kind of laughed. But then he went into the whole idea of creating habits that are helpful for you to enjoy the space that you work in or that you live in. And so a clean room is so much more effective in that type of thing. Leave work at the office. So when it comes time to go home or to leave work for the day, leave it there. Don't take a lot of it home mentally, and don't take it home physically if you can keep from doing that. Plan out your week. Get your week set. Know what you need to face for this upcoming week, and that'll put your mind at ease. You'll be able to work through those things and rise to the occasion or rise to the challenge. Unplug from work when needed. So there might come a time when you need to just pull away, and you need to be able to do that. So if that's the case, make sure that you do that. A lot of people have high stress jobs and they need to leave them where they are. They need to unplug when they get home. Almost the idea of turning off the cell phone or turn off the notifications, turn off the email that comes in from work. If you can. I know some people are on call and they're not able to do that, but if you can, make sure that you do that. Also, know your commitments. Prioritize what's important to you and your family. Look for the right challenges. Avoid the pitfalls of mediocrity. Invest in yourself and your family. One of the great things that you can do to help strengthen your life, especially looking forward and brighten up your future, is to invest in yourself. Strengthen your abilities. Learn more. I know this is going to sound very odd, but get a library card and go to the library and check out books and read books that'll help you in your field. So those are very important. You can't create more time, but you can create more energy. Focus on the things that motivate and energize you the most. And that's the idea of creating more energy. We know that we have 24 hours in the day, and so we can't create more of that. But what we can do is create more energy. So get rid of the things that drain you of energy and actually focus on the things that energize you, whatever that is. So if it's an area that comes more easily to you, maybe for me, it's teaching. I love the aspect of teaching. I love studying. So I'll spend a lot of time doing that because it energizes me. But then there's some daily routines that I have to do or some daily projects that I have to do that just don't energize me. So what I do is I try to focus more on the things that do energize me. And then that way I'll be ready for the next day. And that's something that you can do to approach stress positively. Then challenge yourself the right way. Avoid negativity. Pursue what is important to you. Become a lifelong learner. Choose the right battles to fight, or you will lose the war. And so what we're talking about there is challenge yourself in the right way. A pit bull can beat a porcupine any day of the week. It's just not worth the fight. I love that quote. I don't know who said that. I heard it a long time ago, but I love it because what we see in that is a pit bull could fight a porcupine, but it's just not going to go well for the pit bull. He is going to be stabbed and jabbed in all types of ways from the porcupine, and he is going to be scarred up. And so, yes, he might win, but it's going to cause a lot of problems in his life. So we need to Be careful of the battles we choose. Challenge yourself the right way. Now, the next thing is develop fortitude and grit. The importance of family support. Make sure that your family supports you. The importance of accountability. Make sure there's people around you that will hold you accountable to what your challenges are. The importance of personal health. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, because that just adds to frustration if your body is not in good health and then you find yourself feeling terrible, you don't want to work. Now you have to go to the doctor. Now you have to focus on those issues. The importance of financial stability. So many people in the world today are concerned about their finances. They're enslaved to them. It's on their mind constantly because they are spending more than what's coming in. And that is such a dangerous place to be. It's going to cause your stress levels to go up. It's going to possibly cause some heart concerns or heart issues. It's going to cause stress like you've never seen. So get control of your finances, because that'll help you in accomplishing what you want to accomplish. And then the importance of legacy. This is the idea that I want to create something for the next generation. So maybe it's your kids, or maybe you're not going to have children. You're thinking about other people's children. Maybe you're just thinking about the people that will come behind you. Maybe you're thinking about your nephew or your niece, somebody like that. You want to leave a legacy. So what that'll do is it'll develop fortitude and grit when you're wanting to do something that has great value. And so when you think about your family, you think about your personal health, your finances, you think about the people around you in your life and what you want to leave behind, that's going to help you accomplish those difficult things that are out there. So experience, learn from experience, get out there and do it, but do it with the right mindset. I want to give you an example of what this looks like. Mid-America Baptist Theological Seminary is a great school. When I enrolled to go to Mid-America many years ago now, I believe it was 2002, to get into the master's program, I realized very quickly that Mid-America in the seminary level and in the master's level doesn't play around. They really expect you to not only be a great learner, but also someone who applies what they're learning. So what Mid-America does is not theoretical, as in ideological or just giving philosophy out there. It's trying to make things more of a practice in the life of a believer. And so when I enrolled into Mid-America, I realized that I needed to change some of my practices, because it was required by Mid-America. And so let me share with you some of the practices that I had to change. And the wording has changed somewhat, but the expectations, the requirements are still the same. So Witness 1:7, and that's the name of the program that's part of Mid-America. I want you to see the assignments. Each full-time student, 4 to 5 courses in regular semester, must complete 2 mission hours per week during the semester. Each part-time student, 1 to 3 courses in regular semester, must complete 1 mission hour per week during the semester. Now, we're talking about going to a certain site or a certain ministry, and you spend time in that ministry, you help them, and there's an evangelistic push in that ministry of bringing people to come to know Jesus Christ. And so that's Witness 1:7 assignment that you automatically sign up for when you enroll at Mid-America Baptist Theological Seminary. Now, there's the witnessing side of it as well, and this is amazing. All enrolled students must witness to an average of at least 1 person per week during the semester. This is important because if you don't do the assignments and the witnessing, the school has the right to hold your grades. So that's the rules that are in place. That's the policy that's in place. So you have to fulfill these requirements if you want to receive your grades. And so as a person works through this at Mid-America, there's a lot of time that'll go into this, but also a lot of grit. If you think about sharing your faith with someone else and you ask them to respond to what you've shared, you invite them to give their life to Christ, that's a big deal. And it's hard at first, but the more experience that you get, the better you will be. So the requirements at Mid-America are incredible for experience-based learning. Of course, you have your book learning. Of course, you have the education given to us by professors, teachers alike. But what we're looking at here is you are taking what you've learned and you are putting it into practice. And that is vital for anyone who's going into the ministry, anyone that wants to be ministry minded in their life. It's vital for them to have those experiences. And so I became better and better at witnessing and sharing my faith just because I was doing it. Experience was the great teacher for me in the realm of witnessing and sharing my faith and really knowing how to answer difficult questions. And so you get better at that as time goes on. So wonderful way to do that. All right. And then I want to give you a couple of passages speaking about learning from the past. Okay. Hebrews 3:15 through 19. As it is said, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion. For who were those who heard and yet rebelled? Was it not all those who left Egypt led by Moses? And with whom was he provoked for 40 years? Was it not with those who sinned, whose bodies fell in the wilderness? And to whom did he swear that they would not enter his rest, but to those who were disobedient? So we see that they were unable to enter because of unbelief. I want you to look here for just a moment at that verse 15. It says, as it is said, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion. In other words, you know what has happened. You know the past. You've seen other people experience being rebellious. You know what that looks like and how they died in the wilderness because of their rebellion. And he's saying, now that's their experience. Do not repeat that. Do not fall victim of this again. Instead, live your life in obedience to God because it'll go well for you and it'll be for the glory of God. Very important. I want to show you another passage here. Hebrews 10:26 through 31. For if we go on sinning deliberately after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins, but a fearful expectation of judgment and a fury of fire that will consume the adversaries. Anyone who has set aside the law of Moses dies without mercy on the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. How much worse punishment, do you think, will be deserved by the one who has spurned the Son of God and has profaned the blood of the covenant by which he was sanctified, and has outraged the Spirit of grace? For we know him who said, vengeance is mine, I will repay. And again, the Lord will judge his people. Now, I want you to see this first verse in this. It says, for if we go on sinning deliberately after receiving the knowledge of the truth, so you have the knowledge of the truth, you know what that is, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins, but a fearful expectation of judgment. So what the passage is telling us is that if you know the truth and you know what will happen for those who don't follow it, then make sure that you do not repeat what they did. There is no longer a sacrifice for sins for those who have turned back, for those who have heard the truth and willfully disobey it. But what happens there? There's a fearful expectation of judgment. This is a great understanding of learning from the past. We must be careful not to live our lives with blinders on our eyes, but we must be careful to learn from the experiences of others as well as our own. I want to read a couple of quotes just as we finish up here. There is only one thing more painful than learning from experience, and that is not learning from experience. What a wonderful quote that is. And then Rick Warren said, while it is wise to learn from experience, it is wiser to learn from the experience of others. I love the quotes in this lesson because they're helpful for all of us into making sure that we do not repeat the mistakes of others. Well, this has been Learn from Experience. It's so good to be with you today. God bless you, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right, that concludes our study today about Learn from Experience. Now, if you think about just this past week, what are some of the things that you have learned that will help you in the future? Maybe you've made some mistakes in the last week that you say, I don't want to make those again. We'll learn from that and don't do them again. But also, maybe there were some victories that you had. And you can take what you've learned from those victories and apply that to future situations as well. But in any case, we need to be learning from our experiences. It's good to be with you. God bless you. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.